Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, a little different video. I kind of start off these always like that, a little different video. So anyway, this is going to be a knife sharpening tutorial, and a lot of you guys are going to say, what does he know about sharpening knives? Well, I've been a butcher for my main career for about 28 years. So I know actually quite a bit about sharpening knives. The lawn care and stuff like that, I do not necessarily part-time, but it's something I've done, you know, all my life. So I know a lot about, shrubs and trees and lawns and all that kind of stuff as well. But being a butcher has been my main career for about I think about 28 years. So anyway, I have this stone here, and it's a triple grit pro, and it's an Oregon stone. And I've used different kinds of stones over the years. This one's pretty nice. Kind of open this thing up real quick. These are professional stones. Basically, most of your professional stones have triple stones, basically. So you'll have a real coarse stone, a medium stone, and a super fine stone, so you can hone it in real good. This is an oil stone. You can use wet stones. I usually put, if I were to guess, about a 22-degree angle on there, and I may be off just a little bit. You guys can see once I start sharpening. You can let me know if I'm off or not, but I think that's about right. And I found that that's really good for cutting up meat and stuff like that. But it also, we cut vegetables and different things also for making fajitas and stuff like that. So it seems to work quite well on just about everything I've tried. So anyway, I'm going to move this down so you can kind of see the stone there and the knives. This is actually my first knife, and I still have it. And so these are Forstner. They used to be Forstner Victorinox, and I think they're just Victorinox now if you buy them. But these are some of the best knives you can buy. I mean, they'll last a lifetime. Now, I've actually used this on a grinder before and different things to sharpen it, just to make it quick. And actually, this is one of my grinders. It's a hook eye grinder, and they're very expensive, and they work really well as well. But this tutorial is more about just using a stone to sharpen your knife. So anyway, I'm going to grab some oil real quick, and that way I can put a little on here. Now these will say, that one says coarse, and this one says fine, and this is medium. So generally, what I'll do is I'll start out with a medium stone, and then work my way to fine. Now, in our business, we sharpen our knives every single day. So once your knife is very sharp every day, you don't have to start on medium. You can go just to the fine. And what happens is when you use the fine all the time and your knife is already sharpened, you're putting a kind of like a polished edge on there, and it'll make your edge last longer. And then so we'll use a steel. And a lot of people think, well, the steel is going to sharpen my knife. Well, not necessarily. What a steel does is, if you can imagine your edge of your knife and it just starts getting wavy or bent over, a steel will basically just straighten out your edge and make it, and it will sharpen it, but it's basically just honing what's already there. It's not necessarily sharpening. It's just straightening out your edge and refining it just a little bit. So a stone actually sharpens your knife. You can get diamond stones or diamond steels, and they're kind of oval looking, and they will actually sharpen your knife. So if that's what you're after, just a quick sharpen, you know, you can go to one of those diamond ones. But if you got a stone like this, you can definitely keep your knife sharp all the time. But like I said, my knives, these ones here have been in the kitchen drawer because I don't actually use these at my job anymore. So this one, it's still pretty sharp, but it's not normally where I have it. So we're going to sharpen this one up. This one's gotten quite dull, and you can see these knives. I've had these on the grinder before as well. And your guys are, I'm doing a grinder. Well, you know, a lot of times when you're in a hurry and you want to put a quick edge on there, you know, you put it on the grinder. But I've had these knives for years and years. I mean, you look at this knife here. I probably had it for, I don't even know, 20 years probably. So, you know, I put it on the stone or on the grinder a couple of times, and it doesn't take long to whittle that down. And then this knife here, same thing. I've had probably 20 plus years, and so I put it on the grinder a couple of times as well. So we're going to sharpen these up real quick, and then if you guys have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments, of course, and if anything I can do to help you out, I will. But yeah, a little different than lawn care, but we all got to keep our knives sharp, whether they're professionally, you know, in a professional setting or just your kitchen. You like to have a very sharp knife. So anyway, what I'm going to do is very important when you're doing this that you maintain that angle. Now, I was taught a long time ago, and I was on the stone and I was just going like crazy, you know, and somebody saw me doing it and they're like, you know, if you would just slow down and take your time and make sure that the edge is exactly the same on both sides each time you run your knife across there, you sharpen your knife way faster. And he took the knife and I let him have it, and he started running it on there, and he did it way faster than I did because I was just getting all crazy with it. And then he just, you know, exactly on both sides and kept maintain that angle each time, and he had the knife sharp in half the time. So there's a lot to that. So you can go super fast, but if you're not used to sharpening a knife and you don't know that angle, then you're not going to accomplish much. You're just going to wear yourself out. You'll be like, oh man, I've been on this 10 minutes. This knife should be sharp. Not necessarily. So you might see me going a little bit fast, but it's only because I know that exact angle. I've been doing it for 28 years, and so I can do it fast. But for this video, I'm going to start out slow so you guys can see what I'm doing. And like I said, if you got any questions, let me know. So anyway, I'm going to go grab my remote for my light because it keeps dimming on me for some reason here. So I'm going to get this thing fixed so it doesn't dim on me anymore, because it's kind of annoying, especially when you're working with knives. You want it really bright. So I'm going to tilt this down, bring it over like this. And so basically, I'll probably start with the bigger one. Now, a lot of guys, they got different ways of doing it. I would say there's no right way or no wrong way. So everybody's got their own way of doing it. And in the end, if you're accomplishing the same goal, you know, and it's not taking you 2 days to do it, then it's fine, right? So you guys can get in the comments going, you're just not doing it right. You know, we've been doing it. Well, you know, that might be your way, you know, but it's not my way. So you can take, you know, bits and pieces from this video and use it, you know, when you're sharpening knives. It doesn't have to be exactly the way I do it, you know, but as long as at the end of the process, you've got just as sharp as knife as I do, then who cares, right? So we're all looking for, you know, the same end result. So I'm going to move this down. And so I'm on the medium stone here, and just going to run it across here. Now, this stone here, I purchased quite a long time ago, and I don't use it much because I've got a stone at work. But here's the thing. The one at work is I believe it's a Norton Tri-Stone. So they're very popular in butcher shops and whatnot for, you know, commercial use for sharpening knives. So, and I really like it. And and it's really kind of a stupid thing, but when I run my knife across this particular one, my finger hits on this plastic and it's very annoying. And on the Norton, this thing actually sits a little bit higher, and so you're not rubbing your finger on here all the time. So it's the only thing I don't really like about this one. The stones themselves, I almost like them better than the Norton Tri-Stone. So just running this on here. Now these knives aren't super dull, so it's not going to take me forever to sharpen these. And you know, when you get a little faster, you can go a little faster. Now I haven't got this kind of set where I want it, and I keep hitting this plastic thing here, so I'm not real impressed with this stone as far as hitting my fingers on this. There would be a way where I could actually lift this up, and I've actually used paper towel. I may do that again just to kind of lift this up a little higher. It's, like I said, it's very, very annoying to have to sit here and hit my fingers on that every time. So I don't know if you guys got stones like these or you got something a little different, but I'm just trying to get the thing up a little higher so I can work it a little easier. So yeah, see, now the only problem is it doesn't want to sit down in there as good. So then your stone's rolling on you. So it's kind of a poor design on their part, but yeah, this thing's already getting pretty sharp, so it doesn't take too long. Keep it oiled up, and there's a little reservoir down here in the bottom, so whatever oil, you know, doesn't get used, it just kind of goes back into the bottom reservoir. Just got to be careful when you're carrying the thing around, because when you're carrying it around, you can get it tipped over on one side or the other, and it'll leak oil all over your carpet or your floor. But I'm out here in the shop, so it doesn't really matter. So just gonna push it down a little more. And do this other side. You want to try and use the full stone, so you can start your knife way back here, and you're using the full stone. And it'll keep your keep from developing like a belly in your stone. If you see some of these old stones, they've got like a sway in the stone. So it could be because you're only using half the stone, you're only going to the middle on both sides. But if you go back, clear back to the edge each time, you're using the entire stone. Well, anyway, this paper towel didn't really do what I wanted it to do, so I'm just going to stick it back in here like it normally is. Yeah, I don't really know why. I don't know why it's like that. It seems like they could have got this thing raised up, you know, about a half inch or so, and wouldn't have had that problem. But anyway, it is what it is. So It's a very nice stone, just the case isn't that great, so. And it could be just, could be my method too, actually. So. All right, so I'll continue on here. I don't really like that. It doesn't matter which way I come from on this thing, it is just too low. Huh, that is so bizarre. So anyway, so I'll be done complaining about this. But like I said, the only thing I don't like about this stone is the case. So I think I'm doing about a 22-degree angle here on the sharpening. That's what I find works really well for me. Yeah, it's getting really sharp now. And so we're still on the medium stone. Just remember, when you're sharpening, you're basically going the same amount of times on both sides. So you can go 3 times here. You know, there's a lot of guys say, well, just start out with 15 times on both sides and go down to 10, then to 5, then to 1. You know, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can do whatever you want. But the thing is just make sure you go even amounts on both sides, because if you don't, one side's gonna be got more edge than the other side does. So okay, so probably ready to go to the fine stone. All right. I'll wipe this off a little bit. This thing's out in the shop all the time, so it gets probably a little dusty. So now we're on the fine stone here. This is basically the finest stone on here. The only reason you go to the coarse stone is if you're starting from 0, you got the dullest knife on the planet, and you're trying to get an edge built on it. These knives already have pretty much an edge on there, so we don't have to worry. We don't have to worry about that. So. And generally I like to use my both hands on here, but the this case is rubbing my fingers every time I run my knife across here, so it's kind of annoying, honestly. Yeah, I may build something to kind of raise this up about a 1/2 inch or something. This is just a poor design on their part. So Norton's case is way better. They thought that through a little more. So, all right. So this is pretty good. This particular butcher knife here had the Grant edge on it, or Grant and these deals here. And basically the whole idea for that is it would slide through the meat easier and your meat wouldn't stick to the blade. That was the whole idea behind that. As old as this blade is, you can see that I've already started sharpening into these pockets, this Grant edge. So it's still, the knife still says sharpen, it works fine. It's just now I'm getting into those, so it's a little different, a little awkward to sharpen, but you can still get a real good edge on this. I'm going to grab my steel real fast. So, and get this thing wiped off here too. Just dusty. So, steal this knife. Now just remember, when you steal your knife, you're going to steal it on the same angle that you're sharpening it on, or you're just going to dull, you're just going to dull what you just accomplished. So generally I used to check my knife on how sharp it was by just shaving my arm, but to see, if it was razor sharp, it would shave the hair right off your arm. But I since gone to checking it on a piece of paper, because if you can shave a piece of paper, you got a pretty sharp knife. Now this one needs a little work still. It's not perfect, but it's getting there. So we're going to work on it a little bit more and put a little more oil on here. And so basically gonna So it's sharp in some places and a little dull in others, and that could be the Grant edge on here too. And then also this the way this sits in here is very annoying. Rubbing every time you run your knife across this, I'm basically scraping my finger on this this plastic, which is kind of sharp anyway. So I got to figure out a better way of holding this in here, because it's really annoying, honestly. And this way it doesn't want to stay still. You have to let me know in the comments if you guys got the same sharpener or not, but I'm not real impressed with this, honestly. So it's kind of a knife sharpening tutorial, but this this deal here is really annoying, honestly. I'm just trying to raise this up to a point where it's not scraping my fingers. So if you guys are getting the same, kind of the same, you're getting a good tutorial still about sharpening, because all the details are not going to change between stones unless you're using a whetstone. And even if you are using a whetstone, it's not going to change, because see, when you get up here and you're not hitting your finger on this plastic every time, it's a little nicer. Then you can focus on your edge and not be worried about scraping your finger every single time on here. And I got oil all over my paper too, so this is kind of the way I sharpen the knife. It's a little different, but keep it exactly the same. For the other side. Not only that, you'd be able to hear, you can hear your edge. You know, if it's really noisy, you know your edge is not there. But if it starts to get more quiet, yeah, the stone is still moving. You guys can probably see it in the video. And that's not really ideal. You don't want the stone moving, because you want to have an accurate stroke each time. When you start getting that edge perfect, you actually don't press as hard on the stone. You barely put pressure on it at all. You're just running it across that stone. Some people, they got a leather strop too that they'll run the knife on after they're done sharpening, and I don't have one of those, so I just use the steel. So that's what I use. Let's see if we're accomplishing anything here. You can tell it's doing it. It's still ripping it a little bit, which is not what you want, but you can tell. So it looks like down there towards the end, it's cutting to it all the way through, and then towards this end here, it's not. So it's a little dull here on the tip. So keep working on it. See if we're getting anywhere here. That's pretty good. Like, got a pretty good stroke there. You guys can see that. So what you want is to cut the paper nice and evenly and not tear the paper. So you want to just run your, and you can see how it curls the paper there. It's cutting it. See, it kind of tore it right there, so I've got a little bit, and I don't know if that's just because this paper's flimsy or what the deal is here. I doubled it over so you could do any better, but it's not. So let's see here. So right about there, it's kind of dull for some reason. Sometimes you might go to the fine blade too fast. I might have needed to stay on the medium a little bit longer because it's been a while since I sharpened this knife, so I may have went prematurely to this fine stone. Takes some work, it's all. Kind of feel where there's a nice dull. And to be honest, I'm having more issues with the case itself than sharpening the knife. It's just it's working pretty good. I've got oil all over my paper now because I set my stone on there. Get rid of all this paper here. I'm going to go get some paper towels. Yeah, guys, I'm going to definitely figure out some kind of a DIY, something, whether it's a piece of wood or something I can stick in here to something I can stick in here to raise this up, because this is truly truly annoying, honestly. So there was medium. I might go back to medium and see if it this paper might be too flimsy, actually. Try something else. Try and stick something down here in the bottom of this to raise this up. That might work perfect. There we go. That might work just right. Sometimes it's a real easy fix. I mean, I just stuck a board down here in the bottom, and that seemed to be perfect. Just the right deal here. Wow. Keeps it perfect too. So when you're preoccupied and you're rubbing your finger on this sharp plastic, it's hard to get a knife sharp. So when you can focus on your work, you can get the knife sharp. Pretty crazy that I just grabbed one board, small little 1x, and stuck it in there, and it perfect fit. But I got a lot of scrap boards over there, so I just had to look through what I had there and find something real quick. So I actually went back to the medium stone. I might have prematurely went to the fine stone, actually. So try and find me a little stiffer piece of paper that's not going to fold over on me, because when it folds over on you, it doesn't do any good. So see about this one here. It's a little stiffer piece of paper, so you can see that it's definitely cutting it. It's not perfect yet, but it's there. It's getting close. So I'm going to do a few more passes on this medium stone. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip it over and go to the fine stone. This one is this particular knife is a challenge because the edge is getting into the Granton edge there. So when it gets into that, it's kind of like there's little dips in your edge. So it's not like it was when it was brand new, where there was just solid steel there. So, alright, so I think we're good there. I'm going to flip it over. That's the course. Where I want it. That's odd. See if I can put that board up a little bit there. I had my board in there just so a second ago. I think that'll work. Alright, let's put a little more oil on here. As we go across this, I'm just ever so slightly putting less pressure on the knife. Okay, so I think that'll be pretty good. So you guys can kind of see my frustration when I'm, you know, I don't know how much I'm going to edit this video, but I kind of like to keep my videos unedited, you know, not over edited. You know, you can see a lot of videos that are over edited and it's not really the real thing. So I try to not over edit my videos. So there we go. You can see how it's cutting that paper nice now. So try to get on that very, it's kind of bending it over here. Let me find a new spot here. There we go. So you guys can kind of see how it's cutting. So it's cutting really good now. But you can see, if you look at that, the edge is into that Granton. And so when that happens, it's not a smooth piece of steel anymore. But I can assure you this knife is very, very sharp now. I'm going to run it across my steel a couple of times. And that just kind of, like we were talking about earlier, just kind of straightens that edge out, if any of it's curved at all. And should give us a little improved. See that? So that's perfect right there. This knife is, I mean, see that? So the paper's kind of floppy, so that's what you're getting there. But if you look at this, cutting it perfect. So this knife is done. Now what I'll do is I'll keep working on this knife, except for like what we talked about earlier. I'm not going to go back to the medium stone, not unless I neglect the knife for a while. My goal now is to keep this edge polished. So if you come in every day, you know, whether it's in your kitchen or shop or wherever, and you just run this knife across this fine stone just a few times, maybe 10 times, before you start your prep or before you start cutting your meat or whatever you're going to do, cutting vegetables, whatever, your fruit. Come in, run your knife across here about 10 times, before you start your day, which is what we do at the butcher shop. We keep our knives tuned up every day so we don't have to start from zero with an edge. This one here, I was fighting with the with the stone case for a while, which made it to where I couldn't focus on what I was doing. So now that I've got that little board in the bottom, it seems to, it raises it up enough to where I can focus on what I'm doing. So I probably did that like 15 times or whatever. But like I said, if you keep doing that every day, your knife will stay tuned up. Now, another thing is it's all about sound. Like I was telling you earlier, like on your stone, you can hear your sharp, you know, how sharp your knife is. Well, it's the same on your steel. Now listen. Can't hear hardly anything. Now, if this knife was super dull, you would be hearing, you'd be hearing it. Let me see. Let me grab this knife here. This one actually doesn't sound that bad either. But generally, a dull knife, you can hear it. Like this one. You can kind of hear it. But once I run it on the steel a few times, it kind of goes away. So anyway, this knife is done, and we just want to keep it tuned up. So it's not perfect. It needs a little more. It needs a little more work, but this is a dang sharp knife. This would just cut just about anything you want to cut. Meat, vegetables, whatever. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the other knives. I'm just going to wipe that off, run it across here a few more times to make sure it's where we want it. Okay, let's move this out of the way. I'm going to move to the next knife. Now let's see if this is sharp at all. Now I did run this on the steel, so it may not be that bad. It's not terrible, but it's not where it needs to be. So we're going to probably flip it to the medium again for this one. Now, same thing, except this is a shorter blade and easier to work with. I believe this is a 5-inch knife, and generally I don't care for 5-inch knives. I like the 6. And these are basically what we call a boning knife. And the reason they're boning knives is because they're flexible. You can see that. And basically that makes it to where you can go in there and you can get around bones and debone stuff. But what we use it for mostly is cutting up stew meat or stir fry or things of that nature. So that's what we use these knives for. But like I said, I prefer the 6-inch. It's just more a little bit longer, as you can tell. So 6-inch is just a little better, in my opinion. So all these knives are going to be the same. You just work on them, keep the same angle. Like I was telling you earlier, I think my angle I like is the about 22 degrees. Now I've never scientifically measured my angle. I'm just kind of guessing, but I think that's about where it is, about 22 degrees. And that's where I like it. Okay. That is feels pretty good. So maybe we'll move it over here to the fine. It's kind of weird that board in there is. Anyway, kind of weird. It seems to set better on the medium and not so good on the fine, but weird. I'm kind of holding it with my finger too, like just to make sure it doesn't move while I'm doing this. So and you'll find too, these flexible knives can be a challenge to sharpen too, because they're bending on you. So yeah, this one feels pretty sharp, but we won't know until we try it on the paper. But when you got a considerably shorter blade, you can sharpen it a lot faster. So maybe I'll try and bring that camera a little closer, or the video a little closer, so you guys can see it a little better. I don't have a cameraman, so I'm just doing this on my own here. Hopefully you guys can see it pretty good. Sometimes you gotta remember to use the whole stone, and it's all in your wrist. You know, just turn your wrist with the angle of the knife. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you know, it's all about going around the curve of that knife. If you just go straight, you're not going to get the curve, and you're not going to sharpen the whole entire edge. Okay, so let's see how this one's looking here. So you guys seen it before. Let's see if it's any better. It's kind of tearing it, so it's not necessarily much better. Might need to run it on the steel a couple of times. So it's getting there. It's not perfect yet, but you can see it's cutting the paper. It's trying to tear it just a little bit, so it definitely needs a little more work. Oil on here. Okay. Now, the thing too is, when you're doing this, you got to remember, and even when I'm doing this, I have a hard time thinking, well, I should be running the knife a little softer on the stone. Because your instinct is to do it harder. But what you really want is, once you get that knife pretty close to where you want it to be, you gotta quit pressing so hard on it. Because all you're doing is, if you think about it, you're doing one side, you're bending it over, and then the other side, you're bending it over this way. If you do less pressure, you're not bending it as much. So, but that only works once your knife is, you know, almost close to razor sharp. Otherwise, it's not gonna. Otherwise, it's not gonna matter. See if we're getting anywhere here. It's getting better, see that? Yeah, it's still trying to tear it just a little bit. Let's try it. Like I said, some of these boning knives are a little bit of a challenge because they flex. So let's see here. So yeah, we need a little more work on this thing. Which is not surprising. So if your knife is not where you think it should be, you have to start going a little harder on the stone again. This one also has kind of a funny little guard here. It's kind of annoying and in the way. Got paper everywhere. Making my own confetti. Okay. As you can tell, it's getting better except for the tip. For some reason, it could be because the tip, as you can tell, the tip is not really there yet. And like I was telling you, the blade flexes on this, so the tip is sometimes a challenge to get sharp. So, but sharpening the knife is just got to stay patient, keep working on it. Like the main thing to take away from it is just make sure you're maintaining that same degree edge. If you change it every time, it's not going to get sharp. And sometimes you got to go back to your coarser stones, just like I just did. It might not be ready to go to that fine stone yet. So that's pretty good. Oh, they're nice. I think this paper is a little soggy in some places, but keep holding it. So it's a little flimsy in some places and a little soggy from the oil. Getting pretty good. I think now should be good to go to the fine stone. Get this thing tuned up. That's pretty good. Like I said, I've let these knives kind of get way out of sharp and get pretty dull, so I could do this video. And I didn't realize my stone case here was going to give me fits. Okay, should be pretty close on this one. All these knives aren't going to be completely perfect. Like I said, you just take a look at that. You can see pretty nice edge on there. Pretty nice edge on that. But like I said, work on it every day. I think the tip of that is still not where we want it, but like I said, I think we'll keep polishing on this. But it's pretty, yeah, the tip is still not where we want it. But down here, that's actually tearing it too. So looks like the tip needs a little work still. But the tip is a challenge, I won't lie, because it bends. Okay, let's see if we've gotten anywhere with this. It is pretty quiet on the steel. tip's really hard to test on here. Yeah, I think the tip is still not where we want it to be. But the rest of the knife is working really well. Just don't know why that tip is not where we want it yet. So they get right about it might be there. It's just, like I said, it's kind of bending that paper over. So anyway, I'll continue to work on this knife. It's, like I said, these knives got really, really dull. In fact, I'm going to run this on here just a few more times. I'm going to call this knife good. Alright, I think we're going to call this one good enough. Like I said, we're going to continue to work on these knives, fine tune them, get them in, but we've got the edge back on them. Yeah, edge is looking good. Yep. I think we're right where we want to be with these ones. So that tip is still giving me a fit. So the tip is not quite where I want it, but it's almost there. So we're gonna move on to the final knife here, and we'll see how dull this one is. It won't even do nothing. This one's extremely, well, it is doing a little bit, but it's pretty dull. So let's get started on this one. I'm going to go to the medium stone. Get some more oil on there. I'm going to try and do this one a little fast because the video is pretty long. I'm going to try and knock this one out a little faster. And this is a hook eye knife, so this ain't a Forstner, and or Victorinox, I guess is what they're called now, but this is a Victorinox, as you can tell. So you'll actually notice a difference in how these sharpen between knife brands as well. So a Victorinox is going to sharpen up different than a hook eye or any of the other brands. Yeah, the tip on this knife can tell is very, very narrow compared to the hook eye. You can tell the difference between those two there. So, yep. The hook eye had a little bit wider tip. This one's really narrow because I've sharpened it so many times. I might have to clean my stone after these 3 knives. I put shaved a lot of steel off these knives. So and how I wash these stones is basically we've got a little hose and hand nozzle, and I just take them in the sink and I just spray them off, let them dry, and then re-oil them. So basically you just spray all these steel, the dirt and oil out of it, and then wash this thing, and then just start over new again. So, and when you spray it like that, it'll clean all the fine parts out of your stone. You get all those steel shavings out of there, or steel particles, whatever you want to call them. I just want to, what did I do with my piece of paper here? I'm going to see if that, how well just that little bit did. Not much. Yeah, not bad. No, just some of this paper's got oil on it, so it is cutting it. See that? So even the tip. So I'm going to do it on here a few more times, and then I'm going to flip over to the fine part. Yeah, oh, that's feeling really good now. Okay, so we're ready for the fine stone here. Get it worked down in there good. A little oil on there. Like I said, these knives sharpen just a little bit different between brands, and you guys will notice it too. If you've sharpened multiple different kinds of brands of knives, you'll notice some of the knives are steel's harder, some are softer. You wouldn't think so, but it's actually true. Okay. See where we are here. Look at that, guys. Even the tip is cutting really well with this. So this one worked even faster. Even the tip, and it's even a smaller tip than the than the hook eye was. And I have barely polished this edge up. Just fine tuning it now. But to be honest, I've worked and sharpened a lot more Victorinox and Forstners than I have hook eyes. I've had that knife a long time, and in fact, I think I got it for free. One of the knife salesmen let me have it, and I've had it for a long time, so that's the only reason I still have it. But all these knives are not part of my daily use knives. These are retired knives. I use them in the kitchen. So they've gotten dull. It's probably been 6 months since I've screwed around and sharpened them, so they've gotten really dull. I figured, well, it'd be perfect to make a video for you guys to see just how to get your knives tuned back up. Now, not all of you are going to have a huge sharpener like this, but you can literally do it on a stone this big. It's just a little, a little more difficult, but you can hold it and you can do it. So just gotta be real careful you don't fillet your hands. So always want to make sure you're being safe when you're handling these knives, because it's very easy to slip and fillet your knife, or fillet your hand. Fillet your knife. So anyway, so this Forstner went way faster as far as getting it sharp. I mean, it's a really good spot to do it. Let's try over here. There we go. So you guys can see, that's what you want with your tip. You want it to go, and see how it's curling that paper? That's perfectly sharp. That's right. And if you look, you get down there and you can just curl the smallest part of that paper. Yeah, this is really good. Oh, yeah, this knife is perfect. Now, it still needs some work. I mean, it's going to need to be, same with that hook eye knife, it needs to be polished up. Running across this fine stone 15-20 times before you use it every morning, and these knives will be razor sharp every day for you. Okay, so I think we're going to call it on this one. This one, I didn't even run it on the steel, just right off the stone, and you can just see how well that's cutting. It's cutting really nice. So I'm going to run it on the steel a few times. And it's super quiet. If you guys, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but the more quiet, the sharper it is. So let's see here. That just only improved it. Well, I don't know if it improved the tip of it. Yeah, it's super sharp now. So okay, so this knife is done. I don't know, this hook eye one is kind of a pain. I don't know why I can't seem to get the tip of this. Now I'm going back to the hook eye again. So it's just bugging me that I can't get that tip where I want it. And you can actually hear, and I can feel the difference between the two steels. I don't know how to explain it. The steel on this one almost feels harder. I don't know. It wouldn't make sense. You'd think all the steels were the same hardness, but I think when you go to different kinds of steels, that's probably not the case. They're probably all got a different degree of hardness to them. So I think this steel on this one's just a bit harder than the other one. Let's see here. Get this out of the way. I think I pretty much shredded this. This one's quiet too. Let's see if we gained anything on this thing or not. I mean, I'm not saying this one's dull. Well, actually, we did gain. I don't know if you guys see that. Just that little bit I rubbed it on there. Got it back. Got it to. Wow. So yeah, this one's pretty much good too. It's just like I was telling you in the beginning of the video. It's not about how fast you go across a stone. It's how exact you keep your angle. If you keep that angle, a lot of guys, you see them sharpen knives and they are going 90 miles an hour, which you see me do a little bit earlier, but they've done it so much that they are keeping it exact. They may mess up, you know, ever so often, but they correct it. So just keep that knife at that exact angle every time if you're a beginner. And with anything, you can speed up. You can speed up as you get more practice. A lot of guys, they don't sharpen their knife with a stone. They use a grinder, which, you know, I'm guilty of that too, because it does take longer to sharpen your knife with a stone. Not unless if you maintain your knives, it doesn't take longer. You're literally a few times every morning before you start, and the knife is sharp. So that really only pertains to when you're starting with a bad edge. But this knife here is pretty much, see that? So you got to be patient. You know, you're going to get frustrated probably, but this knife is perfect now. So that's exactly what we want. Just took a little longer than what I expected. But anyway, let me get a close-up of this sharpener for you so you guys can see what kind it is. I'll flip this around. See, guys, all over the thing, but it's a Triple Grit Pro, and it's an Oregon stone, made in the USA. I've had this stone for quite a while, but honestly, I haven't used it a lot. And the reason is I've got a lot of these commercial grinders and stuff in here, so generally that's my go-to because it's super quick. Now, at my job where we work every day, I use a stone because I keep my knives tuned up, and literally a couple of times, you know, about 15 times every morning, and my knives are razor sharp and ready to go. So anyway, I just wanted to do a little knife sharpening tutorial. I'm sure, you know, a few of you guys will have different ways of doing it, which is fine. Like I said earlier, you know, as long as you come to the same end, who cares, right? As long, you know, if you're getting the knife sharp, great. This is more of the, you know, for the people who don't know how to sharpen a knife and they want to learn. Like I said, I used to I used to test the sharpness, you know, and shave my arm, but you know, it's, you know, I'd rather just use a piece of paper. It's a little a little cleaner anyway. So anyway, if you guys like these videos, make sure you like and subscribe. Check out our Facebook page. We're on TikTok too, not so much, but mostly on Facebook and YouTube. And you like these videos, make sure you share them with your friends, and make sure to like and subscribe. And you guys have a good night, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching. I sure appreciate it.